Imagine a 14-year-old teen who overcame the battle against cancer and, motivated by that experience, dedicated himself to becoming a doctor. Now, finally fulfilling his dream, he prepares for his first day on the job. But what happens on that day will challenge all his expectations and test his limits in unimaginable ways. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button to follow more exciting and inspiring stories. Leave your comments and share your own stories of overcoming adversity and inspiration. It was an ordinary morning when Pedro, a 14-year-old with an unwavering passion for soccer and video games, received news that would change his life forever. For weeks, he had been feeling unusually fatigued and experiencing persistent pain on his right side. Worried, his parents took him to the hospital for tests. The diagnosis hit like a devastating blow. Pedro had cancer. The news landed like a bombshell in the family. Pedro, who had only been facing typical teenage challenges until then, now found himself in a battle for his very life. The hospital, once a place for occasional visits for checkups and vaccinations, became his second home. Facing a grueling routine of chemotherapy, radiation sessions, and countless tests, Pedro had to dig deep to find an inner strength he didn't even know he had. The first few months were the toughest. Chemotherapy brought not only extreme fatigue, but also hair loss, a visible symbol of his fight against the disease. Looking in the mirror and seeing his reflection change so drastically was an immense emotional challenge. However, with a heart full of hope and determination, Pedro decided he would not be defined by cancer. His family played a crucial role during this time. His parents, always by his side, became true pillars of support. Late-night conversations, board games to distract him, and words of encouragement were essential in keeping Pedro's spirits up. His friends also stood by him. Even in moments of weakness, Pedro could count on visits, messages, and calls that brought a touch of normalcy to the chaos of his routine. One day, during a chemotherapy session, Pedro met Julia, a slightly older patient who had been in the hospital for a few months. Their friendship blossomed quickly. Julia, with her experience and resilience, became a source of inspiration for Pedro. She shared funny stories, tips on coping with side effects, and most importantly conveyed a message of hope. "We're in this together, and we're going to come out victorious," she would say. Over time, Pedro's determination began to bear fruit. Tests showed signs of improvement, and every small victory was celebrated with enthusiasm. He made a promise to himself. If he could beat cancer, he would dedicate his life to helping others overcome the disease. This renewed purpose gave Pedro even greater strength to keep fighting. Finally, after months of intense treatment and countless moments of doubt and fear, Pedro received the news he had longed for. He was in remission. The battle wasn't completely over, but he had triumphed over one of the most challenging phases. The joy and relief were indescribable. Pedro knew his life would never be the same again, and he was determined to make this change for the better. Pedro's story doesn't end here. His victory over cancer was just the beginning of an inspiring journey that would lead him to transform the lives of many others. Each challenge faced, every tear shed, and every smile shared during his fight against the disease shaped the teenager who would one day become a dedicated and compassionate doctor. Let's continue to follow Pedro's incredible journey and discover how he turned his personal battle into a life mission. After the intense battle against cancer, Pedro felt that his life had taken on new meaning. Every tough moment in the hospital, every painful treatment session, and every sleepless night had profoundly transformed him. During this time, he met incredible people, nurses, doctors, and patients, who in different ways touched his heart and changed his perspective on life and death. Pedro vividly remembered Dr. Alberto, the oncologist who had guided him from diagnosis to remission. With infinite patience and the ability to explain procedures clearly and reassuringly, Dr. Alberto became more than just a doctor. He was a mentor and a constant source of inspiration. On several occasions, when Pedro felt that the pain and despair were unbearable, Dr. Alberto's words and calm presence brought a ray of hope and renewed strength to keep fighting. Every appointment with Dr. Alberto was a lesson in humanity and compassion. Pedro watched closely as the doctor connected with his patients, always wearing an encouraging smile. offering a kind word, and listening attentively. These interactions planted a seed in Pedro's heart, the desire to give back and make a difference in others' lives, just like Dr. Alberto was doing for him. Another crucial figure was Nurse Sofia. With her caring nature and special talent for lightening difficult moments, Sofia was always ready to offer a hug, tell a funny story, or simply hold Pedro's hand when he needed it most. She showed him that healing wasn't just about medicine, but also about care and human presence. Sofia taught Pedro that even in moments of pain, empathy and kindness could make all the difference. During his long stays in the hospital, Pedro met other patients who were facing similar battles. He became friends with Ana, a girl his age who was also fighting cancer. They quickly bonded, sharing their hopes, fears, and dreams for the future. Ana's courage, and the way she faced each day with a smile, inspired Pedro to be more resilient. Together, they talked about their plans for what lay ahead, and it was during one of those conversations that Pedro made his decision. He wanted to be a doctor. The idea of helping others confront and overcome their own battles with serious illnesses became Pedro's driving force. He began to study with renewed determination, even while still undergoing treatment. He developed an interest in biology and health sciences, devouring books and articles about medicine. Each new piece of information was a puzzle piece in the picture. He was building to become the kind of doctor who could inspire and heal his future patients. When he finally went into remission, Pedro felt he had been given a second chance at life, an opportunity to fulfill a greater purpose. He decided that every step of his journey to become a doctor would be dedicated to the people he had met in the hospital, who had touched his life in unforgettable ways. His dream of using his knowledge and compassion to help others overcome their struggles was now the center of his existence. Pedro entered medical school with unusual fervor. Every class, every internship, and every hands-on experience was seen as preparation not just for a career, but for a life mission. He stood out for his dedication and passion, always remembering the lessons he had learned as a patient. His grades were excellent, but what truly set him apart was his deep empathy and understanding of the human experience of those facing serious illnesses. Pedro's story is a testament to how adversity can transform someone's life for the better. His personal experience with cancer not only strengthened him, but also gave him a clear and inspiring purpose. He was determined to make a difference, just as Dr. Alberto and Nurse Sofia had done for him. Let's continue following Pedro's exciting journey, from his decision to become a doctor to the moment he starts his career and faces his first day on the job, filled with expectations and challenges. Pedro's journey to enter medical school was marked by immense challenges and equally significant victories. Shortly after beating cancer, he was determined to follow his newfound purpose, but he knew the path to becoming a doctor wouldn't be easy. Still a teenager, Pedro had to readjust to school life. After months away due to treatment, returning to class was a challenge. He felt like he was behind his peers in terms of content and preparation. However, his experience had made him more resilient. He dedicated extra hours to studying, reviewing subjects, and seeking help from teachers. The determination that had led him to conquer his illness now guided him through his studies. He often spent his nights studying, surrounded by stacks of books, with the dream of becoming a doctor always in mind. To gain admission to medical school, Pedro knew he needed to achieve excellent scores on the entrance exam. He enrolled in a preparatory course, where he found a new community of peers with the same goals. The intensive classes and pressure of the course were exhausting, but Pedro was motivated. His experience with cancer had taught him to value every opportunity and not waste any moment. Each class was a chance to get closer to his dream. During this time, Pedro also faced emotional challenges. The pressure to achieve top grades, combined with the memories of his battle with cancer, often left him anxious and stressed. There were moments when he doubted his abilities, questioning whether he could overcome the obstacles. However, in those moments of weakness, he remembered his promise and the people who had inspired him, like Dr. Alberto and Nurse Sofia. The strength he found in those memories helped him push forward. Weekends were filled with study marathons and practice exams. Pedro's family also provided tremendous support during this phase. His parents, always by his side, encouraged him and created a calm environment for him to study. They knew how much that dream meant to Pedro and were willing to make any sacrifice to help him achieve it. Their unity and love were essential fuel for his journey. When the day of the entrance exam finally arrived, Pedro was ready. He walked into the testing room with a racing heart, but a calm confidence. Each question answered was a step closer to his goal. After hours of testing, he emerged exhausted but hopeful. The weeks of waiting for results were tense, but finally, the news he had been eagerly anticipating arrived. Pedro had been accepted into medical school. The joy was indescribable. He and his family celebrated the achievement with a mix of tears of happiness and relief. Getting into medical school was a significant victory, but the challenges were just beginning. The program was intensive and required a level of dedication and sacrifice that tested Pedro's determination every day. The classes were long and complex, and he often found himself studying late into the night to master the concepts. The experiences in hospitals, while fascinating, brought back memories of his own days as a patient, which were both challenging and motivating. During the early years, Pedro faced the harsh realities of medicine. Witnessing the pain and suffering of patients was a constant reminder of life's fragility, but also a reaffirmation of his calling. He stood out for the empathy he showed towards his patients, often sharing a smile or an encouraging word that made all the difference. His classmates and professors noticed this quality and frequently praised him for his dedication and compassion. During his clinical rotations, Pedro had the chance to work alongside experienced doctors, learning not just about procedures and diagnoses, but also the importance of truly listening to and understanding each patient. Every interaction was an opportunity for growth and improvement. He remembered Dr. Alberto's words about seeing the patient as a whole, body and soul, and applied that principle in every appointment. One of Pedro's most memorable victories in medical school was when he got the chance to intern at the very hospital where he had received treatment. Working alongside his former doctors and nurses was a surreal experience. They welcomed him back with warmth and pride, thrilled to see the teenager they had once treated become a dedicated medical student. Pedro felt right at home, and each day was a chance to give back the care he had once received. Finally, after years of hard and relentless studying, Pedro was about to graduate. The graduation ceremony was an emotional moment. Dressed in his cap and gown, he looked out at the audience and saw his parents, friends, and the doctors who had inspired him, all beaming with pride and tears of joy. When he received his diploma, he felt it was more than just a piece of paper. It was the realization of a dream he had nurtured with sweat, tears, and an unwavering desire to make a difference. Pedro's journey to becoming a doctor was filled with challenges, but also victories that reinforced his determination. He was ready to tackle the next chapter of his life, a career dedicated to helping others overcome their own battles, just as he had done. Pedro's journey to becoming a doctor was far from solitary. On the contrary, it was marked by the constant presence and unwavering support of his family, friends, and mentors. This support was crucial not only for his academic success, but also for his emotional and mental health. From the moment of his cancer diagnosis, Pedro's parents stood by his side. They transformed their home into a haven of love and security, even on the toughest days. Each painful treatment and chemotherapy session was accompanied by hands holding his and encouraging smiles. Their strength was like an anchor, keeping Pedro steady even when everything felt like it was falling apart. When Pedro decided to pursue a medical career, his parents were the first to back him up. They understood the depth of his motivation and did everything they could to help him reach his dream. For them, it wasn't just about grades or getting into college, but about seeing their son fulfill a greater purpose. They restructured the family finances to ensure Pedro could attend preparatory courses, and were always ready with words of encouragement during moments of doubt. Pedro's friends also played a vital role. They were present and supportive, never treating Pedro as fragile because of his past illness. Instead, they recognized his strength and courage. Throughout the intense years of studying for the entrance exam, and later in medical school, these friends provided a constant source of emotional support. They studied together, tackled tough subjects, and most importantly, provided moments of relaxation and laughter, essential for easing stress. Beyond family and friends, Pedro encountered valuable mentors along the way. Dr. Alberto, the oncologist who had treated him, became a counselor and friend. He offered professional and personal guidance, helping Pedro navigate the challenges of medical school. Dr. Alberto shared his experiences, providing insights not only about medical practice, but also about empathy and care for patients. This mentor-mentee relationship was crucial for Pedro's development as a future physician. In college, Pedro also met Professor Mariana, a renowned cardiologist who became an essential mentor. Mariana saw in Pedro not just a dedicated student, but someone with a powerful story and tremendous potential. She encouraged him to go beyond the curriculum, to participate in research projects, and to seek internships that would broaden his experience. Under Mariana's guidance, Pedro learned the importance of research and innovation in medicine, and how these fields could positively impact patients' lives. Moments of doubt and fatigue were inevitable, but the support from family, friends, and mentors helped Pedro push through. When he faced challenging exams or intense weeks of rotations, there was always a network of people ready to lend a hand. A family dinner, a study session with friends, or an encouraging conversation with a mentor often made all the difference. During vacations, Pedro took the time to enjoy quality moments with his family. These times were precious, reminding him why he had chosen this journey, the gratitude he felt for overcoming cancer, and the opportunity to give back by helping others was constantly renewed through the love and support he received. In his final year of medical school, as graduation approached, Pedro reflected on his entire journey. He knew he wouldn't have come this far without the strength and faith of his family, the loyalty of his friends, and the wisdom of his mentors. They were an integral part of every achievement, every small step towards his dream. On graduation day, as he received his diploma, Pedro made sure to thank everyone who had supported him. His parents, emotional, knew that all their effort and sacrifice had been worth it. His friends celebrated together, sharing in the joy of victory. And his mentors, proud, saw in this young doctor the reflection of years of dedication and learning. Pedro was ready to kick off his career, not just armed with knowledge and skills, but with a heart full of gratitude and a support network that would be with him through every new challenge. His story stands as a testament to the power of human support and the importance of never giving up on dreams, no matter how tough they may seem. After years of intense study, sleepless nights, challenging exams, and demanding internships, Pedro's graduation day finally arrived. The ceremony took place in a grand auditorium, packed with peers, professors, family, and friends. The atmosphere was charged with emotion and anticipation, marking not just the end of an academic journey, but the start of a career dedicated to saving lives. Dressed in his cap and gown, Pedro felt a whirlwind of emotions. He reflected on the battle he fought against cancer, the moments of doubt, and the victories that led him to this point. Each step toward the stage was a reminder of his unwavering determination and the unconditional support from his family and friends. His parents sat in the front row, tears of pride in their eyes, as he moved closer to receive the long-awaited diploma. When his name was finally called, the auditorium erupted in applause. With a smile that mixed happiness and relief, Pedro accepted the diploma from the hands of the dean, feeling the symbolic weight of that piece of paper. It was proof that, with courage and perseverance, he had turned adversity into a life mission. He raised the diploma high, dedicating that achievement to everyone who supported and inspired him along the way. After the ceremony, the celebration continued with a big party, where family, friends, and professors gathered to honor the new doctors. Pedro's speech was the highlight of the evening. With his voice choked with emotion, he thanked everyone who helped him achieve his dream and shared his journey, from fighting cancer to deciding to become a doctor. His words deeply resonated with everyone present, inspiring many to never give up on their own dreams. The joy of graduation soon gave way to the anticipation of his first day as a doctor. Pedro had been accepted to work at a renowned hospital in the city, the very place where he had received treatment during his teenage years. The chance to give back the care he had once received felt like a dream come true. The night before starting his duties, Pedro could hardly sleep, his mind racing with thoughts about the challenges and responsibilities awaiting him. The big day finally arrived. Pedro slipped on his white coat, with a mix of pride and nervousness. As he entered the hospital, a wave of familiarity and comfort washed over him. But so did a new sense of responsibility. The walls that once witnessed his fight for life now saw him as a doctor, ready to help others face their own battles. The hospital buzzed with activity, but for Pedro, everything felt imbued with new meaning. He was warmly welcomed by the medical staff, many of whom remembered him as a patient. Dr. Alberto and Nurse Sofia were there, ready to support him in this new chapter of his life. They shared a heartfelt embrace, filled with pride and emotion. Early in his shift, Pedro was introduced to his first patients. Each face, each story, evoked memories of his own journey. He approached them with genuine empathy, listening attentively and offering words of encouragement. One of the patients was a 10-year-old girl diagnosed with a rare illness. Pedro saw himself reflected in that child, recalling his own fears and hopes when he was in a similar position. He promised himself he would do everything possible to help her. His first day was filled with intense emotions and unexpected challenges. Pedro participated in an emergency surgery, where his calmness and skill impressed the team. By the end of the day, he felt physically drained, but also deeply fulfilled. He had realized his dream of becoming a doctor, facing each challenge with the same determination that guided him through his battle with cancer. On his way home, Pedro reflected on the day and felt immense gratitude. He knew his journey was just beginning, and that many challenges still lay ahead. But with the ongoing support of his family, friends, and mentors, he was more than ready to tackle each one. Pedro's story is a powerful reminder that, with courage, faith, and support, it is possible to turn adversity into extraordinary achievements. His first day as a doctor was just the beginning of a career dedicated to saving lives and inspiring others to never stop fighting. The night before his first day at work was a mix of nerves and excitement. He had been through so much to get here, but the thought of finally putting on the white coat and stepping into a hospital as a doctor still felt like a distant dream. He spent the night mentally reviewing everything he had learned, from the technical details of surgeries to lessons on empathy and care. At dawn, Pedro carefully donned his coat, feeling the symbolic weight of that garment. He looked in the mirror and, for a moment, recalled the journey that brought him here. From the endless days of cancer treatment to the sleepless nights studying for exams and the challenges faced in medical school. With a deep sigh, he felt ready for the new chapter about to begin. Arriving at the hospital, Pedro was greeted by a frenetic buzz. The hospital was a place of life and energy, a world of its own where every moment counted. He was welcomed by Dr. Mariana, his mentor and guide, who was genuinely excited to have Pedro as part of the team. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Pedro. Today is a special day," she said, with an encouraging smile. His nerves eased a bit upon realizing he was surrounded by people who believed in him. The first meeting with the fellow doctors was intense, but welcoming. Dr. Alberto, now his co-worker, gave him a warm good luck hug. He always referred to Pedro as the young lion, a metaphor for his strength and bravery. Sofia, the nurse who had been by his side during treatment, was also part of the nursing team, and was thrilled to see Pedro there, ready to give back to the hospital all the care he had received. Pedro was then taken to familiarize himself with his area of work. He walked through the bustling hallways, feeling a bit lost yet very excited. The familiar scent of antiseptic and the sound of heart monitors were strangely comforting. Each room, each patient, brought a new story, and Pedro was eager to get involved in all of them. His first task was to shadow Dr. Mariana during the morning consultations. They entered the room of an elderly patient recovering from heart surgery. The interaction between the doctor and the patient was a practical lesson in empathy and care. Pedro watched closely, noting how small gestures and kind words could make a significant difference in someone's recovery. When it was his turn to speak, he introduced himself with a warm smile and promised to take good care of the patient. The true test of his skills came in the middle of the day, when an emergency was announced. A 20-year-old had suffered a serious motorcycle accident and needed immediate surgery. Pedro was called to assist in the operating room. His nerves were on edge, but he knew this was his chance to show everything he had learned. With steady hands and a focused mind, he followed the instructions of the experienced surgeons, significantly contributing to stabilizing the patient. During the surgery, Pedro experienced a rush of adrenaline and a sense of fulfillment like never before. Watching a life being saved right before his eyes, and knowing he was part of it reinforced his determination and confirmed he was exactly where he was meant to be. By the end of the procedure, the patient was out of danger, and Pedro received praise from his colleagues for his excellent work. At the end of the day, exhausted but elated, Pedro found a moment to reflect. He sat on a bench outside the hospital, watching the constant flow of people. He thought about all the lives that had been touched by that place, and felt immensely grateful to be part of this mission. Nurse Sophia joined him on the bench. "You did a fantastic job today, Pedro. I'm so proud of you. I always knew you would go far," she said with a warm smile. Pedro thanked her, feeling a deep connection with Sophia and all those who had supported him. Pedro's first day as a doctor was filled with emotions, challenges, and achievements. He knew that many tough days lay ahead, but he was more than ready to face them. With his heart full of gratitude and a renewed passion for medicine, Pedro was prepared to turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth and learning. His journey was just beginning, and the first day at the hospital was merely a glimpse of the impact he was destined to have on many lives. On his first day at work, Pedro felt ready for any challenge that might arise. But he didn't expect an extraordinary test of his skills and courage to come so soon. In the middle of the afternoon shift, the hospital was shaken by an urgent alarm. A serious car accident had occurred nearby, and multiple victims were on their way. Panic was evident, but the training and preparation of the healthcare professionals prevailed. Pedro knew this would be a major test for him. One of the victims was a 7-year-old boy named Lucas, who arrived at the hospital in critical condition. He had been hit by a car while crossing the street. He had multiple severe injuries, including an open fracture in his leg and signs of head trauma. Pedro was called to the emergency room to help stabilize the boy. His heart raced as he saw the child's condition, but he knew he needed to stay calm and act quickly. The atmosphere in the emergency room was frenetic. Medical teams moved rapidly, coordinating efforts to save Lucas. Pedro was tasked with monitoring the boy's vital signs, while the more experienced doctors assessed the injuries. He remembered the monitoring techniques he had learned and focused on keeping an accurate record of the vital data. Pedro's hands were steady, but his mind was racing, recalling everything he had learned. Suddenly, Lucas's vital signs began to deteriorate. The monitor showed a rapid drop in blood pressure and a concerning decrease in heart rate. Panic threatened to take over Pedro, but he took a deep breath and called the attention of the nearest doctors. "We're losing blood pressure rapidly," he alerted. The chief surgeon, realizing the seriousness of the situation, ordered the team to prepare for an emergency transfusion and possible surgery. Pedro was assigned to prepare the blood transfusion. He worked quickly and accurately, recalling the critical procedures he had practiced countless times during training. As he prepared the materials, his thoughts turned to his own fight for life and the times he had depended on the skill and courage of doctors. Now he was on the other side, fighting to save a life so young and full of promise. The emergency surgery began, and Pedro was called to assist in the operating room. He donned surgical gloves and positioned himself next to the experienced doctors, ready to follow instructions. The situation was critical. An internal bleeding had been detected, and time was of the essence. Pedro assisted the surgeon, passing instruments and monitoring Lucas's vital signs. Every second was vital, and the tension in the room was palpable. During the procedure, there was a moment when Lucas's heart monitor emitted a long, steady beep, signaling a cardiac arrest. Time seemed to stand still. The surgeon shouted for an adrenaline injection, and Pedro, as quick as lightning, prepared and administered the dose. Everyone in the room held their breath, waiting for a response. After a few agonizing seconds, the heart monitor registered a faint but steady heartbeat. Lucas was back. The operation continued with intensity, but now there was a renewed sense of hope. Pedro worked tirelessly alongside the team, and after several hours, the surgery was successfully completed. Lucas was stabilized and transferred to the pediatric ICU, where he would continue under intensive care. When Pedro finally exited the operating room, exhausted but triumphant, he found Lucas's parents anxiously waiting for news. With a gentle smile, he approached and said, "Lucas is stable now. He went through a tough surgery, but we're optimistic." The parents' eyes filled with tears of gratitude as they hugged Pedro, thanking him from the bottom of their hearts. As he walked through the hospital corridors after that incredible event, Pedro reflected on the magnitude of what he had experienced. He had been tested in ways he had never imagined, and his skill and courage had been put to the test. But above all, he felt a profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. This was the beginning of his medical career, and he knew that despite the challenges still to come, he was exactly where he needed to be. Pedro's first day of work was marked by an extraordinary event that pushed all his limits, but also solidified his conviction that medicine was his true calling. He was ready to face the future with renewed determination and a heart full of gratitude for the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of so many people. Impact on patients' lives. The way the unexpected event positively impacts the lives of patients and the reputation of the young doctor. The extraordinary event that took place on Pedro's first day of work left an indelible mark on the lives of the patients and on the emerging reputation of the young doctor. The rescue of Lucas, the 7-year-old boy involved in the traffic accident, became a symbol of hope and resilience for many people in the hospital and beyond. After the successful surgery, Lucas spent a few days in the pediatric ICU, under the watchful care of Pedro and the medical team. During this time, Pedro made regular visits to the boy, checking his vital signs and chatting with him and his parents. With each visit, Pedro not only monitored Lucas's physical recovery, but also offered words of encouragement and comfort. He knew from personal experience how much a doctor's presence and emotional support could make a difference in a patient's recovery. Lucas's parents were deeply touched by Pedro's dedication and empathy. They shared stories about their son's life, his dreams and passions. Pedro, in turn, told them about his own journey, including his battle with cancer. This connection created a special bond between them, and Lucas's parents found comfort and hope in Pedro's words and example. As the days went by, Lucas began to show significant signs of improvement. His wounds were healing well, and his strength was slowly returning. The medical team was optimistic about his full recovery. Pedro felt immensely gratified to see Lucas's progress, knowing he had played a crucial role in his recovery. The story of Lucas's rescue began to spread throughout the hospital. Patients, staff, and visitors talked about the young doctor, who had shown exceptional courage and skill in a life-or-death situation. Pedro's reputation as a dedicated and talented doctor grew rapidly. His co-workers praised him for his exemplary performance and the calm, efficient way he handled the emergency. One afternoon, while Pedro was in the hospital cafeteria, an elderly lady approached him. "You are Dr. Pedro, aren't you?" she asked with a kind smile. "Yes, that's me," he replied, a bit surprised. "I just wanted to thank you for everything you did for little Lucas. My grandson was in the room next door during the surgery and heard everything. He said he now wants to be a doctor just like you." The lady's words touched Pedro's heart deeply. He had never thought of being an inspiration to others so early in his career. Another patient positively impacted by the event was Mariana, a 16-year-old girl hospitalized due to a chronic illness. She had witnessed the commotion in the hospital on the day of Lucas's accident and was impressed by Pedro's dedication. Mariana, who had already been feeling down about her own condition, found new hope in seeing how Lucas was recovering thanks to the young doctor's efforts. Pedro began to visit her regularly, talking about books, movies, and the importance of never giving up. Mariana's emotional recovery was as significant as her physical healing, and her condition began to show improvements. The positive impacts of the unexpected event did not stop there. The trust and respect Pedro gained among his colleagues also translated into better collaboration and communication within the medical team. The doctors and nurses who worked with him that day felt inspired by his attitude and dedication, boosting morale and the spirit of cooperation in the hospital. The hospital director, Dr. Meneses, also took notice of Pedro's achievement. In a meeting with the team, he highlighted the young doctor's exemplary performance and the importance of having such dedicated and compassionate professionals on the front lines. Pedro received a standing ovation from his colleagues, and Dr. Meneses made it a point to reaffirm the hospital's commitment to fostering a work environment where everyone could grow and learn from each other. The story of Pedro and Lucas eventually made its way to the local media. An article in the city newspaper covered the heartwarming event, highlighting Pedro's courage and skill in saving the boy. The report praised the hospital and its staff for their competence and dedication. This recognition brought even more positive attention to Pedro, who humbly accepted the accolades, always crediting the success to teamwork and the support he received throughout his journey. The impact of the incident on Pedro's first day of work extended beyond the hospital walls. The story inspired many in the community, emphasizing the importance of empathy, bravery, and commitment in medical care. For Pedro, it was a powerful reminder of why he chose medicine: to make a difference in people's lives, and to give back the support and compassion he received during his own battle with illness. Pedro continued his career with the same passion and dedication, always remembering little Lucas and the lessons learned on that unforgettable day. He knew that many challenges lay ahead, but he was more than ready to face them, with a heart full of hope and the determination to be the best doctor he could be. Reflection and personal growth. Pedro's journey from battling cancer to becoming an inspiring professional, and how the event on his first day shaped his views on medicine and life. After the whirlwind of his first day at the hospital, Pedro returned home, exhausted but filled with a profound sense of accomplishment and purpose. He sat on his small porch, breathed in the fresh night air, and began to reflect on the long road that had brought him here. The journey had been full of monumental challenges, but also unforgettable victories. Pedro recalled the dark days of his adolescence fighting cancer. He remembered the endless chemotherapy sessions, the nights filled with pain and uncertainty, and the moments when he almost lost hope. But above all, he thought of the people who supported him during that tough time. His family, always by his side, friends who made him laugh when everything seemed lost, and the doctors and nurses who cared for him with such compassion. These memories not only fueled his determination, but also shaped his character and understanding of what it means to be a doctor. The decision to become a doctor was more than a career choice. It was a calling. Pedro wanted to repay all those who helped him, and aimed to be for his patients what Dr. Alberto and Nurse Sofia had been for him. Every step towards that goal was driven by gratitude and a desire to make a difference in people's lives. Graduation, though a moment of great celebration, was just the beginning of his mission. The extraordinary event on his first day was a true test of his skills and resilience. Facing such a serious emergency, right off the bat challenged Pedro in ways he had never imagined. The experience of saving Lucas, the 7-year-old boy, reinforced everything he believed about medicine, that it involves both technical skill and empathy. The connection he established with Lucas and his family during recovery was a powerful reminder of why he chose this career. Pedro realized that medicine is much more than diagnoses and treatments. It's about understanding patients' life stories, being present during their most vulnerable moments, and offering hope even in the toughest situations. Lucas's recovery was a shared victory, a celebration of life that reaffirmed Pedro's calling to be a source of healing and comfort. As he reflected, Pedro felt a deep sense of personal growth. He had faced death up close, both as a patient and as a doctor, and this dual perspective gave him a unique outlook. He understood that every life is precious, and that each moment with a patient is an opportunity to make a difference. The gratitude he felt for his own survival transformed into a burning passion to help others overcome their struggles. The positive impact he had on patients' lives, and the reputation he began to build as a dedicated and compassionate doctor, also shaped his self-image and role in the world. Pedro didn't view medicine merely as a career, but as a divine mission, a higher purpose that transcends the hospital walls. He wanted to be a beacon of hope for his patients, just as others had been for him. By the end of his reflection, Pedro felt a profound peace and renewed determination. He knew the journey ahead was long and that many challenges awaited, but he was ready to face them with courage and faith. He resolved that each day would be an opportunity to grow, learn, and make a meaningful impact on his patients' lives. Pedro stood up, looked at the starry sky, and made a silent promise to continue being a doctor who not only heals but also inspires, comforts, and loves. He was more than prepared for the journey that lay ahead, knowing that each step would be guided by gratitude and compassion. And so, the story of Pedro serves as a testament to resilience, hope, and the transformative power of faith and determination. His journey from battling cancer to becoming an inspiring doctor is a reminder that with courage and support, it is possible to overcome any challenge and achieve great things. We want to hear from you. What did you think of Pedro's journey? Leave your comments and share your own stories of overcoming adversity and inspiration. Your feedback is very important to us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to sign up to follow more exciting and inspiring stories.